hand, Jason's live streaming. He's on, has Charles, it's Sundays with Charles, right, Jason, is what it's called, Crowdsource the Truth 2. Charles Ortel, heroically, a financial expert, is splitting the foundation wide open, and there are multiple international felonies. Multiple. It's a fraud. I think he calls it the largest unprosecuted charity fraud in world history, which it is. Created by her and her husband. The Clinton Global Initiative tied in together, and I'm going to get into some detail of the money that flows into these things and the sheer illegality of it. But look at her connections. Why Alexander Downer, the ambassador, the Australian ambassador to the United States? Mr. Downer gave $24 million of Australian taxpayer money into the Clinton Foundation, and the Australian people didn't even know it. All of a sudden, Mr. Downer pops up again in a bar approaching George Papadopoulos, trying to get him to admit that the Trump campaign had Hillary Clinton emails, which Papadopoulos never did. He just said, well, I'd heard from somebody else that there were some emails, and that's all he said. Downer went back, reported that to Brennan and the CIA, and that was one of the reasons they opened up the Russia collusion investigation. What was he doing? Protecting Hillary Clinton. Why? Why? We go on. George Soros contributed $27.1 million into Hillary Clinton's campaign. We all know about George Soros, don't we? His stated goal is to destroy the sovereignty of the United States and eliminate our boundaries. And he just comes right out and says it. He was one of her chief financial contributors. Mohammed Morsi, Muslim Brotherhood. Hillary Clinton was connected to, supportive of, the Islamic Muslim Brotherhood, joined at the hip with Huma Abedin, whose family are members of the Muslim Brotherhood. She got visas for Muslim Brotherhood operatives who came in. They helped Mohammed Morsi take over Egypt, and the Muslim Brotherhood ruled, and they were crucifying Christians outside the gates of their headquarters until the Egyptian people rose up, and one of the most wonderful things I've ever seen, and had a mass rally and kicked them out of office. But she was behind the whole thing. They even had posters, the people, get Hillary out of Egypt, because they knew darn well who was behind this. Sandy Berger. Sandy Burger and Fries. Sandy Berger went into the National Archives. Anybody know about this one? Went into the National Archives, stole top secret information, shoved it down his pants. I think there was several documents. It was 4 or 5 documents. Shoved them down his pants, took them out, and then destroyed them. Only problem with Sandy, he was the National Security Advisor. Apparently didn't know much about national security because the archives have cameras in there, and they literally caught him walking out shoving these documents down his pants. That is multiple felonies. That's a minimum of 10 years in jail, and he got off. I'll show you who got him off when I show you the pattern here. But he was removing information to protect the Clintons. Why? Turns out it was related to 9/11, pre-9/11. No one knows, but it was the documents were dealing with pre-9/11 related to the Clintons. That's all we know, because they were destroyed. To protect Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. John Brennan has gone out on a limb and broken the law to protect Hillary Clinton, as I mentioned. James Comey will get into it in detail. Clear obstruction of justice. The DOJ report left this completely alone. We'll talk about that. He's protecting her. Why? One of the reasons, Lockheed Martin was contributing millions of dollars into, guess where? The Clinton Foundation. So Hillary takes care of her own. She got James Comey a membership on the board of directors of Lockheed Martin, where he made $6 million in 1 year. See, the syndicate takes care of itself. I'll show you later on, he's a syndicate member. And it goes on. She ran illegally guns into Benghazi without the knowledge of Congress, using Saudi Arabia and Qatar as a cutout. Those weapons went to the hands of Al-Qaeda, and they're now in the hands of ISIS. Did the U.S. create ISIS? Well, the guns got there indirectly, but ISIS has our guns and tanks through this illegal drug running operation that she was running out of the Department of State. And it just gets worse. I'll get into uranium one later. This was a Russian intelligence operation specifically targeting Hillary Clinton, and I'll prove it in a moment. We all doing okay? I know this is a lot of stuff. We'll try to keep it going at a good pace. And it gets worse. Loretta Lynch protected the investigation, changed her criminal investigation in the documents to a matter to keep it from going down the criminal route. Why? Why the tarmac meeting? Why is she protecting this woman? Why are all these people protecting this woman? What the heck is going on here? You got Peter Strzok. We will stop Trump from being elected. We all know how he twisted the Hillary Clinton interviews. More on that later, to keep her from being prosecuted. The national news media is like a shield for this woman. I mean, not they will leave information out, they will bold-faced lie to protect this lady. Why? I'll show you the Time magazine cover. Many of you have seen that. They downright lie and get away because they know what they're doing. It's propaganda. But why are these people and all these entities protecting? You've got Lady Rothschild up there with David Brock. Lady Rothschild is very close to Hillary Clinton. So is David Brock. Media Matters. George Soros is giving funding to CNN, other organizations supporting them financially to control the U.S. news media. My question is this. What the heck is going on here? What is going on with this woman? Where did she get this kind of power and these kind of people at all levels of our government, shadow and deep state, protecting this lady from what she deserves, and that's prosecution? How did this lady get this power? How on earth did this? Well, you'll see. It is shocking. It's an international crime syndicate that Hillary Clinton has been running and Bill Clinton has been running for 30 years. It is bloodthirsty, it is ruthless, it involves drug running down into Mexico and South America. On my radio program, I had a high-level Mexican official saying that people don't understand the Clinton Foundation is operating in drugs down in Mexico, and we all know it. That's how bad it is. There's espionage, money laundering, drug running, charity fraud, blackmail, murder, connected to the international world order. Those are Susan Rice's word and Barack Obama. The new international world order. Is there a new world order? There is a global economic world order. Yes. Now you want to call it the world order? Whatever. There is. And this Hillary Clinton, I call her the international world order princess because she's the hub of this whole thing. Usurps the Constitution. The goal, not only of Hillary and Soros, but progressivism itself, is to usurp the United States Constitution and eliminate U.S. sovereignty. That's what this lady's all about, folks. That and trillions of dollars. Involves the Democratic National Committee. I hate to say this, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, but I got to tell you, the DNC is not the Democratic Party of JFK and our mom and dad anymore. It's a criminal syndicate, and it's largely Marxist. Seriously. It's not the DNC, and a lot of Democrats don't realize that themselves because it's a family lineage thing. It's not the same DNC. You just look at the Fusion GPS scandal. Robert Mueller, the straight-laced public servant, the best of the FBI could have, better than you and I, the top of evolutionary intellectual evolution. What a wonderful man. No, he violated the Fourth Amendment after 9/11 to the tune of national security letters. Anybody remember those? The FBI walks into your employer and says, we want all the files on John, we want his employment records, his financial records, his performance evaluations, and everything else, and if you tell John we were here, it's a felony, we'll put you in jail. They're still using that today. Warrantless searches after 9/11, breaking into Americans' homes without a warrant. Under oath before Congress, they asked Mr. Mueller, Director Mueller, how many times did the FBI break into an Americans' homes without a warrant? Well, as far as we know, it was only 47, and they were major terrorist cases. Well, a good staffer went out and did some checking, and some FBI people gave them some information. They came back and said, you know, Mr. Mueller, we understand that it's a lot more than 47. We understand that it's at least 1,000. He goes, well, yeah, okay, it was 1,000. It's only 1,000 times. So the committees went out and did some more research, came back and found out it was 2,000 times. Mr. Mueller, you're not being truthful with this. We now, and they went out again, we now have concrete information that the FBI broke into 4,000 Americans' homes without a warrant. How many times was it, Director Mueller? And if you can imagine, his response was this. Director Mueller, you have given us 3-4 different accounts of how many times you broke into Americans' homes. Tell us right now, we demand you tell us how many times has the FBI been into an American's home? His response was this, well, I can't remember. I don't recall. Pardon me, but aren't you in charge of the FBI? I mean, aren't you in charge of breaking into people's homes without a warrant? He can't remember how many times the FBI had done this. Violations, direct, solid violations of the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution. And what are those? Felonies. Got away with it. Gross abuse of power. Some more. Uranium One, obstruction of a counterintelligence investigation. Based on my background, this makes me want to take Maalox or something. I mean, that is huge. Obstructing a counterintelligence espionage investigation where Russia got a hold of 20% of our uranium. 20%, and it was a Russian operation. And this guy let it go. USC, 1510, a felony. Is he squeaky clean? I don't think so. He's one of the three of the syndicate. HSBC cover-up. Remember those arrows that I showed you connecting everybody together? He could have put HSBC officials in jail for 20 years or more for laundering drug money from South America, but he let it go. That's a cover-up of an obstruction of justice and cover-up of an investigation. 2 felonies, 18 U.S.C. 73 and 1510. You see what I'm saying here? These are clear felonies. These people need to be charged. And you can understand I'm somewhat passionate about this, being a recovering law enforcement officer. So it's bad. And of course, he's violated special counsel guidelines in that the guidelines stipulate there has to be a crime, say Russia collusion, and all of his investigation needs to stay with that crime, Russia collusion. He's departed completely from both of those, and now he's investigating Cohen for his legal dealings, Manafort for his business dealings, Papadopoulos for slobbering his beer and saying something stupid, and completely off of the Russia collusion investigation. Oh, and by the way, this humble public servant, you know what he makes a year? He represented legally Apple and Facebook, of all people. That's what he did before he became special counsel. He made $3.5 million a year. And yes, he represents the little guy, you know, you and me, that make maybe a tenth of that. And then he was such a humble man that he took over the special counsel job, and now he's only making $166,000 a year, probably 10 times what the people makes that he busts and put in jail for lying to investigators. What do you think is going to happen? Mark my words. When Robert Mueller leaves special counsel, watch him go into his next job as special counsel for someone making $6-7 million bucks. You just watch. Just watch. They take care of their own. So this is who is investigating Donald Trump right now. This guy is a mad dog for a prosecution. He's not after Russia collusion. He is after Donald Trump. He's one of the 3 cabal, the syndicate I just showed you, and he has no intention of justice at all. He wants to bring Donald Trump down, and he's going to be well compensated for doing it.
Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, Loretta Lynch, Sally Yates, and John Kerry. From the intelligence community, James Clapper, James Comey, John Brennan, Mike Rogers. From the FBI, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, James Baker, Bill Priestap, Peter Strzok, James Rybicki. From the Department of Justice, Loretta Lynch, John Carlin, Dana Bonte, Bruce Orr, David Laufman. From the DNC, Hillary Clinton, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Donna Brazil, Tony Podesta, Sidney Blumenthal, Cody Shearer, Perkins Coie Law Firm, Mark Elias. And from Mueller's investigation to impeach, Robert Mueller III, Andrew Weissman, Preet Bharara, Aaron Zelinsky, and Eric Schneiderman. From Fusion GPS, working for the DNC and Hillary, Glenn Simpson and Nellie Orr. News agencies, CNN, The Washington Post, The New York Times, Mother Jones, Yahoo News, and BuzzFeed. Oh, don't forget John McCain. Once Comey and Mueller fall, so will Hillary and the gang. Trump is letting Mueller play out his hand because Trump already knows that at any time he could trump the investigation to impeach. With your daily digest of current events and commentary, this has been Headlines with a Voice.